Since 1985, Make-A-Wish Illinois has granted more than 19,000 wishes to children in all 102 counties across the state. This month, Make-A-Wish is celebrating 40 years of granting wishes, and we're going to learn more about what the organization does for our communities. Janet Batts-Glavin is the Senior Community Engagement Manager of Make-A-Wish Illinois, and Ashley Herron is a Make-A-Wish volunteer and Wish alumni parent. Thanks you both for being here.
Thank you.
This is great. First of all, Janet, tell us a little bit more about Make-A-Wish and how this whole thing came about.
Sure. Well, Make-A-Wish, we have one thing that we do, and we grant life-changing wishes to children with critical illness. So we've been doing that in Illinois since 1985 and nationally since 1980. And Make-A-Wish started, there was a little boy who actually has his origins from Kewanee, Illinois, but he was living in Phoenix, Arizona. His name was Chris Gracious, and he had leukemia. He was 7 years old. And he was a big fan of the show CHiPs, the California Highway Patrol at the time. And so he was struggling with his illness, and some people in the community came together along with his mother, and they made him an official state trooper for the day, and they saw how that lifted his spirits. And his mother and the others that were involved in that day for Chris, they went on to found Make-A-Wish. And from that time, we've grown, and we're now a worldwide organization. And in Illinois alone, we've granted more than 19,000 wishes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And something is fairly simple as granting his wish to be a highway patrolman. I'm sure that did make a lot of difference, but I know that a lot of the wishes you do are a lot more intensive and have a lot of planning. Ashley, you're a Make-A-Wish volunteer and an alumni parent. Can you tell us about your story with Make-A-Wish?
So my daughter received a wish to Disney. She wanted to have lunch with the princesses in 2011. She was 3 years old at the time. And for an entire week, she got to be a child, not worried about the hospitalizations, not worried about needle pokes. And we were able to enjoy life and get away. And that's really important, especially when facing chronic illness, just stepping away for that moment. And since then, I have been involved in Make-A-Wish. I was at the very first I Spy that was held. And then since then, I have become a wish granter, and I'm a part of the Make-A-Wish Advisory Board for Peoria.
Now, when your family went to Disney, what kind of effect do you think that had on your daughter? How did you see her demeanor change, or were her spirits lifted?
Oh, definitely. She was happy. And, granted, we still had to do like some breathing treatments while we were down there, but, she didn't have to focus on, oh, I got to get up at this time and do this and that. She was really happy. And, the bigger part of this, too, we were a military family, so we had just finished a deployment, and this was the first vacation we'd ever had.
Wow. That's amazing.
So.
Now, one thing that I know you want people to know, and something I just learned, is that Make-A-Wish isn't just for terminally ill children. I know the medical issues your daughter had, it's not like it was life-threatening in any immediate way, but tell us a little bit more about what some of the kids are dealing with and how you help them out.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that has been sometimes a common misconception. And so the criteria for being referred to Make-A-Wish is that a child is between the ages of 2.5 and has not yet reached their 18th birthday, and that they've been diagnosed with a critical illness that's something that is progressive, degenerative, or has placed their life in jeopardy at the time of referral. So we have a number of illnesses that are eligible under that criteria, and over the many years that we've been involved, sometimes the criteria is reviewed and changed, largely in part thanks to due to the progress in medicine. So that's the criteria, and so when we work with our referral professionals, many at Children's Hospital, OSF Healthcare Children's Hospital of Illinois here or around the state, they are partners in that process in talking with families before they make a referral, so the family understands that it's not just for terminally ill children.
So is that how the process works? The healthcare provider will do a referral, so people don't necessarily call you up. They have to go through the health provider?
Both. The
Okay.
answer is both. So if people go to, viewers go to our website at wish.org, they'll see how to refer a child. And sometimes we have family members that do make a referral, and they need to have detailed information about their child's diagnosis, including their specialty provider that will verify their diagnosis at the time of referral. And sometimes that's empowering for a family that might be feeling like they've had a lot of loss of control with the diagnosis.
Sure.
Other times they have a lot going on, and we work with our referral partners. They're key in kind of looking at timing of referral too. That might be appropriate for a family or a child.
Okay. So, Ashley, I want to ask you, what made you want to become a volunteer after your experience?
To give back to an organization that gave so much for us for a week. And that's important. I wanted to give that same joy back to other families.
And how many wishes have you been a part of?
We were just talking about this yesterday, Janet and I, about 25, and we're about to do another wish celebration on Sunday.
That's great. I want to talk about those specifically in just a little bit. But first of all, what are some of the, just to get this out of the way, what are some of the guidelines that families face when they want to wish and things like that?
Yeah, so really to capture that impact that we're looking to make, that we're not just a nice to have experience, that we're going to make a lasting impact for a family and a child, we're looking to capture the child's imagination. And so people will ask, yes, we do have guidelines. We have budgetary guidelines. We have other parameters on safety, some types of wishes. If a child would ask for, the physician would need to say that's appropriate and safe for that child, or they're safe to travel if they choose a travel wish, or maybe they need to wait until after they finish this particular piece of their medical treatment. But we're really looking to capture that child's imagination. So people ask me, what if you have a child that wishes for $1 million? So, our training would be to ask, well, if you had $1 million, what would you do? And usually with a child, they would say, well, I would get this particular toy or this electronic, and maybe I'll get something for my brother or sister. And we would kind of then, maybe that would become a shopping spree. Or a child, there's so many creative wishes. A child says, I want to go to the moon, or I want to meet an alien. That we had a wish where a really creative members of the community and our volunteers like Ashley, they would found an air hanger. They created a pretend rocket, a virtual reality experience where this child came in suited up as an astronaut and went in and had the VR experience as if he was taking off, and he met a space alien on Mars. So the creativity and that capturing that imagination and the age appropriateness for the child. Some of our children that are older, they might have, some more specific things like to be an author or to, meet a celebrity. So we're really looking at capturing that imagination.
Speaking of imaginations, I saw on your website a video of one girl who I think she wanted to ride a unicorn,
Yes.
meet a unicorn, and you guys made that happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you really
Sometimes
do
very simple.
Yeah. I'm sure kids have extravagant wishes, but I'm sure there's some simple ones too. What are some of the more simple ones that were pretty easy for you to grant?
Shopping sprees. We had a lot of the shopping sprees during COVID. COVID really changed how we engage with the families. We had to really be creative, and shopping sprees were kind of I thought they were fun, but they were pretty simple
Sure.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, how does it work as far as your funding?
We are completely funded by donors, companies, individual giving, community events. Ashley and some other of our volunteers in the area were just part of a Walk for Wishes event that we have where people sign up and they have teams. So we're completely supported independently. We don't receive any federal or government funding.
Okay. When it comes to certain things like, say, a shopping spree, do you get in-kind donations from different businesses and companies?
We do. That's really some of the magic. We call it the Make-A-Wish magic in granting wishes, is that there are these little ripple effects. So we might go to a store and say, well, we have a budget for this, but anything else you can do? And we had a Wish parent who works at a retail chain recently that came to us and said, when you're doing an electronics wish or a shopping spree wish in this store, give us a call and we'll roll out the red carpet, we'll do a cake, and that just those little ripple effects. And you've had some things like that happen.
Yeah, a wish that I can recall that was actually at our local mall. He just wanted the Jordans. They gifted him the Jordans for him, and then he wanted some for his dad. And he got those too. Plus they gave him a certain amount in gift cards that he was able to shop. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of shopping for, his siblings, but for himself too. We also had GameStop give him it was PlayStation 5. And so that was really cool.
That's neat. I want to ask both of you this question. What makes a good Make-A-Wish volunteer? Because I would imagine that, people volunteer for a lot of things, but in this instance, you may be dealing with a very emotional topic. Mm-hmm. So how do you prepare yourself, and what makes a good volunteer?
Meeting the family where they're at. Realizing that they're at this critical time in their life. They could be in a crisis, especially with those rush wishes. And I always put myself in their shoes, how would I want somebody to treat me and my child in that moment?
Mm-hmm. Janet, you have anything to add?
Well, I would say to add to what Ashley mentioned is that flexibility to know that what immediate family looks like is different for everyone, and understanding, where they're at. And again, the focus on the child also really helps, that they know that we are there to focus on the child, to make an impact for that child and their family. And I think creativity, our volunteers they have a creativity that is just inspiring, but that commitment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just a personal story. When my daughter was diagnosed with cancer in 2020, Make-A-Wish was fantastic. Just fantastic. And we were kind of in a rushed situation because we knew she didn't have long. And unfortunately, it was during COVID, so we couldn't do the Disney trip. But we did a lot. Corey and Jody, our Make-A-Wish granters over in McLean County, did awesome. The kids loved princesses, so we went to the Roman Mansion and had a sleepover and had a horse-drawn carriage, and the kids all dressed up as princesses, and princesses showed up, real princesses. But one of the things I was really impressed with granting the wish was not just how they took care of Emma, but her twin sister. They made sure that she was a part of everything, and I guess when you're granting a wish, having the whole family involved is important.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I can speak on that. I have my oldest daughter, and when we went down to Disney, they treated her with kindness. She got pretty much the same thing as my daughter too, and they really made her a part of the wish. If they dropped off a gift for my youngest, they dropped off a gift for her, and that was really cool to really have her be a part of that as well.
Yeah, we also, like I said, our wish granters were great. We also got a trip to Chicago, went on a shopping spree at American Girl store, and got some behind-the-scenes looks at Sears Tower and the aquarium and everything. And, my daughter and her sisters, it was great because for a while they forgot about everything. And I guess, that's kind of the whole point of this, is for the kids to forget that they're sick and just enjoy life.
Yeah, we're really looking at it. It can be a dark and difficult time, really, the unknown, and just that innocence and joy of childhood that is impacted by that diagnosis. And it's traumatic, and we're looking at making that impact so that it for you and your family that there are some really good memories also that carry on.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about some fun stuff. I want to hear about some of the wishes that you guys have granted. Ashley, out of your 25, 26 that you've done, what really stands out to you as far as a really cool wish?
There's three that really stand out to
Okay.
me. Brigham Landwehr's wish, the camping trip, or not the camping trip, the camper. And so we reached out to one person. We're like, oh, it'd be really cool if, he had a cop car, No, there was probably, I don't know, 60, 70 cop cars, really supportive with the family. And we had this really big gathering. And just to see the support for the family was so cool. I was involved in Tessa Sutton's wish as well. And we met out at a restaurant in Dunlap and really gathered, because it became a rush wish. And so we, understood what we needed to do, and, we made it happen. And just seeing the support with Tessa, it was great. Another one that I thought it was really unique was horse barrel racing arena for Ava Lightsey. And didn't know what it was going to entail, but it was actually at her house, and she actually invited my daughter to come back about a week or two later and ride horses with her. So I thought those were some really cool ones we've done.
Yeah. What about you, Janet? What stands out to you?
Yeah. Well, I think one of my most creative wishes that happened a little before the pandemic and that our chapter has granted was a little girl named Azka. At the time she was little, now she's much older, but she liked to write creative stories. She was just 5 at the time. And her wish was to have as many people hear her stories as possible. So we worked with a local public radio station, and they added sound effects to her reading her story called The Stealer of the Diamonds. And then that was broadcast out, and you could go online and find it and listen to it. And she continued after, so this is the continuation of the impact of the wish. She continued to record her stories. And then during the pandemic, she made a little podcast about, helping people like lift them up during, don't worry during the pandemic. And so, just the radius of the impact of her wish, not only for herself, but to bring joy into other people's lives. And we've had wishes to give too, where someone wished to work at a soup kitchen and work with a chef to make a soup. And then that soup recipe was shared. And, just things that come from the heart and the imagination that make such a powerful impact. But locally, one of my favorite wishes, there are two. I have met every wish. Then people ask, like, what's your favorite wish? But it's kind of like the next wish and the next
Sure.
wish. But a little girl with a seizure disorder, she wanted a safe place to play in her backyard because she really didn't feel safe going to a playground, other things. So she liked Barbie. So we had a Barbie-themed playhouse that some local contractors built. And the trades were involved, and it was a learning experience for them. But her playhouse wish, and then we had volunteers planting flowers, and that's one of my favorites. There are so many.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you when, if I were a kid, I would say, yeah, I want to go to the moon or I want $1 million bucks. But does it surprise you when kids just want what seems like a very basic wish?
One little girl just actually got back from a wish to Hawaii, and she's like, I want a narwhal. And then I was like, oh, okay. But when we talked to her a little bit more, she's like, I really want to go to Hawaii. And I'm like, okay. And, for her, that was simple. She loved to swim. And she showed us her swimming pool. And, she's like, I just want to do that. I just want to swim.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
You mentioned the pandemic. Did that really put a crimp in a lot of plans for the kids?
It did. And it put an impact for kids in treatment with their critical illness too. It was difficult times. So we call our process of granting of the wish journey. We look at kind of a pipeline for an average time. Right now, we're really looking at 6 to 12 months, depending on what a child has wished for and also their medical condition, to get them from the discovery of their wish which is part of that journey to the actual completion of the wish. And during COVID, travel stopped. And so when travel resumed, for example, Disney is a very popular wish, or the Florida theme parks. You can't just suddenly send every person there,
Right.
plus you have the public waiting. And so we had to really time that out. And some children, we would check in with them periodically and say, do you want to keep waiting for this travel particular wish, or would you like to pivot to something else? And so, as Ashley mentioned, maybe they decided on a playhouse or a shopping spree wish or something local that they could have. Some kids chose to wait. So that really took, as long as we were in the pandemic and the impacts, it took a while to get out. And that was true, not only in Illinois, but nationally and worldwide.
I'm sure. So Disney, Florida theme parks, is that the most popular wish?
It seems like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Wishes to go to Hawaii, wishes to travel to a beach someplace, celebrity wishes, sports-related wishes. We had a boy from the Bloomington area who wanted to go to a Cubs-Cardinals game. He was a big Cardinals fan in St. Louis, and meet the players, and that was able to happen. Wishes are there's just a big variety of wishes.
Sure. Speaking of celebrities, any celebrity encounters that you remember off the top of your head?
It wasn't really an encounter. So we had a kiddo who was waiting for a wish. Unfortunately, he had passed before we can, his wish could be granted. It was some sports team that he just wanted a signed jersey if he couldn't get his wish. So we made it happen to where we reached out to the sports team. And while he was in the hospital, he was given the gift of his jersey. And then we were going to just use this as like a kind of a wish boost. But for him, that jersey was everything.
Sure. Do you find most companies, people, organizations are pretty willing to work with you, or are there some that, I'm not asking for names, but are there some that you really have to bug them about it and say, hey, let's try and get this done?
I think there's two things that usually kind of springboard a company's engagement with us. Make-A-Wish is known, but sometimes when you have a coworker or a colleague that has had a direct impact, sometimes we'll have companies get involved because of that. They saw what that did for the family. Other companies are looking for ways that employees can get engaged, and it kind of is rapport building within the company. Companies will come to us in that way. And then I think sometimes volunteers too, if we have a volunteer and they say, I'm really enjoying this, and they want to get involved. So
Yeah, do you have a lot of people like Ashley who were involved in a wish and then decided, hey, I want to pay it forward and give back?
we do. Wish alumni families are some of the best volunteers. They really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And it all depends on the timing. Sometimes our families, they have a lot of acute care time. Ashley, she does so many things and still has a lot going on. So it's very inspiring. So I would say, that's a really great volunteer too. Retirees.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm sure as someone who was a Wish alumni parent that you had maybe a little better understanding of how the whole process works and how families would react in that situation.
Yeah, and that's why I always agree, when I meet them, I just kind of think back to what I was going through, what I, emotionally during that time frame. And it's a lot of motivational interviewing with the parent and the kiddo. And I really come, with that heart of understanding, even though it might be like a different illness, but the emotions can be very raw.
Yeah. We got to wrap this up, but you did mention earlier that not everyone knows about Make-A-Wish. Is that kind of surprising to you, considering the organization's been around so long?
I think they know about Make-A-Wish, but they maybe don't know how they can get involved in their community. And so we talk about wish makers, which everything that we've talked about today, from companies getting involved to volunteers like Ashley that do the wish celebrations or even the wish discovery. So many different ways to get involved. We had a local business that's just finishing up building a tree house for a boy. That we do need more people to be involved in the viewing area. We need at least 15 more wish celebration volunteers in specific.
How can people find out more about Make-A-Wish Illinois?
They can go to wish.org/Illinois, and there's information on how to get involved. There's a self-starting program for becoming a volunteer that they can get into.
All right. Janet Bantz Glavin and Ashley Heron with Make-A-Wish, thanks for all you do, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you for watching. You can watch this segment again and share it at WTVP.org, and check us out anytime on Facebook and Instagram. Have a good night.